everybody, this is me, Yipei, and September we are here like talking with Dory, our wonderful vocal teacher here in ADA. Okay.
So Dory, we are wondering how your work as a performer informs your work as a teacher.
So, yeah, I think that as a young artist blooming myself, it's informed me a lot about sort of the struggles of the young artist. And so when I come into my class, because it is voice and ensemble performance, it's really helped me to understand how empowering it is to find your own voice, how incredible it is to take that voice out and connect with an audience. And in that way, I feel like I want to transmit that to you guys about how important that experience was for me and how important it can be for you. So I think it informs me 100%. Every time I make a mistake, every time I'm out on stage just totally flopping, I think we're all learning from a beginner's mind, you know? So it makes me come into the classroom with that understanding.
Cool.
That's my,
What advice you would give to a growing performer looking
Oh.
to make their own work?
Yeah, like Dory, I'm wondering like what's your advice for us like as a young artist, like how do we grow in our own career in the future?
I think the most important thing for a young artist is to surround yourself with the following things. A support system full of people that actually speak your language. An environment in which you're constantly inspired, and a way to always be able to take a break for yourself. I think as a young artist, those three things are the best situation that you can possibly be in order to create.
So kind of something related to that question, what advice would you give to young performers, especially working in the States, who are looking to create their own work rather than work in more traditional settings?
Yeah, I mean, my advice is to find the right collaborators. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's hard because I work in the States a lot because a lot of the people that I collaborate with are in the States, but they live all over the world, right? So we live everywhere. Especially with Tutzani, you have people that are in New York, and then you have one in Philly, and then you have one in Boston, and you have one in Seattle, and then you have me here. And that's a really hard environment to keep up, but we do it because we love it, because we love working together. And I think that if you find your collaborators that are at least close to nearby, or even if they're far apart, that you really love to work with, that really want to tell something of the same message, right? What is it about art that brings you to the stage, right? For Tutzani, it was about storytelling. It's about having a totally different idea of how theater can work, right? It doesn't have to be so black and white. And for us, that was a very important ideal, sort of creating this sort of world that every person could get behind and connect to, because it was completely different than going to a Broadway show. Nothing that there's anything wrong with Broadway shows, but to go to a Broadway show and like have it just right there as sort of the spectacle. It was no longer that. It was a community experience. We were creating a community inside, and that's to me what theater is all about, that community experience. So I think for young artists in the States, find your community. What does that mean to you? You know?
And also, I want to know what make you, like what prompt you to choose commedia dell'arte as a specific form of art to, you know, change the world, or you want to use it to, you know, like
Yeah.
do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's interesting, because you think commedia, so like historic, but it's not, it's living today. I mean, I think that's the thing about commedia that I find so exciting, is that all of these archetypes that you could find in commedia back then, think about this, what if it had never died? What if it had never died? How would it transform? What would these characters be like today? Because if you look at it from the beginning, you have Zani, for example, right? Who then, like, from Zani came a lot of the servant characters, right? And then from those servant characters came other servant characters, right? And certain master's characters, here come other characters. And they came from different regions, right? So if you were to talk about your community, so I talk about the United States, because we talk a lot about that in Zani. What would American commedia look like? What does Zani from the South look like? Or what does a Zani that's an immigrant look like in America, for example?
Yeah.
Right? And it fits so well. What does a Pantalona look like, for example? Right? Is she the big CEO on Wall Street? You know? Is she a politician? Like, what does Dory look like in America? You can find them everywhere, but especially Boston, I'm guessing. So I just think there's so much evolution still to be done inside these archetypal forms that speak directly to certain, like, boroughs inside the U.S. and to a humanity that we're having to live together all the time. And that's what commedia was all about, living inside that human experience, and being able to survive it. And that's how they survived it, was through comedy. I mean, it was used for, comedy has been used like that for years. So I think for us, commedia just gave us a clear structure and platform in order to find the message we wanted to tell.
That was awesome.
Thank you.